Hey guys, welcome back to Full Package RC. I'm Bob, along here with Mike
Yo,
and Aaron.
What's up?
So, what did you guys think of that opening?
this is pretty badass.
That shit was hot.
Yeah, it's something a little bit different. We just wanted to try out a theme song. So I decided to hit up, that was courtesy of Andrew Locks. He is a heli pilot, flies for, Mike, you might be able to help me out. BK, I think BK Hobbies and
BK Hobbies.
SAB, or just BK Hobbies?
I think it's just BK Hobbies now.
I should have asked him, but I kind of forgot to ask him that part.
Yeah.
But he is a really good dude in the hobby. We kind of wanted to keep that all hobby kind of related. And I approached him since he's also into music. I believe he's in a band, music teacher, all that kind of good stuff. And said I was looking for something very simple, very, kind of quick and easy. And he had full carte blanche, do whatever he wanted to do, and he came up with something pretty kick-ass.
Let's not forget to tell everybody that we actually had about 4 candidates that were just super eager to put an intro together for us.
Oh yeah,
but he was the one that played the spoons the best, so
That's
we
right.
chose him. Played the shit out of those spoons in his audition, so
that's right. He rocked that shit.
Hell yeah.
No, but he turned out something pretty good for us, way more than what we anticipated. So we're pretty hyped about that. We're really thankful for him taking the time and doing it, because I know it definitely took him some time to put all that together. So if you're friends on Facebook with Andrew, you come across him, tell him what you think of it, tell him hi. He's just a really good dude. So hopefully we'll try to get him on here at some time, and he can talk a little bit about that, tell us about his path in the hobby, and as we get more guests. All right.
Yeah, if you see him on the flight line, yell at him, because he's really easy to egg on.
Oh, he loves that. He loves when you come up to him on the flight line and just stand there and just tell him to fly lower and really get him to going. Yes, absolutely.
The first time I saw him fly in person, we were doing it, and it was just a micro. We made him crash. So, good dude and good pilot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's always fun to do that to everybody, especially when it's somebody you don't know, like maybe other countries, and then you're the crazy American, like, making them do shit.
Remember yeah.
From Urcha, you know where I'm going now?
Yep, I know exactly what you mean.
It was a little pause. I wasn't sure if you remembered that.
No, I knew. I just forgot the guy's name that it happened to, so I wasn't going to say
it. Was it Rasmus, I think? I believe so. I'm not 100% sure. I may have had a few adult beverages before that happened, so I wasn't really sure.
Drunk and on the bullhorn and
right, yeah,
being the stereotypical loud American.
There we go. We were having fun, though. All right, so what, it hasn't been too long since our last episode, but I feel like a lot has happened. There's a lot going on. I know I have a bunch of stuff going on. I think Mike does. I'm not sure, Aaron, what you all have going on.
Got nothing going on. Nope.
You have nothing. Okay, well, thanks for playing. Nope. You have a nice night. So who wants to go first? Tell us about anything interesting going on, new projects, new toys.
Ooh, I can go. I got quite a few.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm always good for something new, right? Or getting rid of something, or
you're good for something.
3 weeks is a long time on my schedule, so
yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of got there's a let me start at the beginning. There's a guy at our club who bought a half-scale J3 Piper Cub. It's ginormous. So he's been flying that, and he gave me the giant airplane bug. I used to fly some pretty good size airplanes. I had a 103-inch extra back in the day, and I had a 90-something inch extra and an 85-inch slick. Bunch of gas airplanes and stuff. So, but I sold them all, got rid of them, and was focusing on helis the last few years. So, watching him fly this airplane, and going over there talking to him, it kind of got my mojo going for airplane stuff again. So I've been keeping an eye out on the for sale pages and stuff here and there, and stumbled across a deal that I didn't think was going to work out. And right when I was about to message the guy and say, yeah, man, it's kind of far. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it happen. Somebody messaged me, or no, I said, you know what? I'm going to reach out to somebody who lives out in that area, which was our friend Bob here. And I said, hey, Bob, how far are you? Just curious. From, I don't even remember the name of the town, Katanning or something like that.
Lidditz?
Lidditz, that's what it was. Well, I was way off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know where the hell you're at, but okay.
Yeah, that was probably somewhere I worked last week. But yeah, so I asked him how far away he was. He goes, it's about a half hour, 40 minutes, something like that. And I'm like, okay. So would you mind maybe going to check out and pick up an airplane if I buy it? He goes, yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. So I said, well, I'm going to need you to go ahead and go outside and measure the back of your car, see if you can fit it in there. And yeah, Bob was, oh no, we'll get it in. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. So worked the deal with the guy. He was a little uneasy at first. With the whole PayPal scams and stuff going on nowadays. Was able to talk to him on the phone, kind of ease him, and it eased me a little bit too, because it was sending quite a bit of money over for something that I'd never even seen in person, and that I wasn't even 100% sure this guy was going to show up to meet Bob to deliver it after I purchased it. So it was a little nerve-wracking for a little bit there, but Bob went and picked it up and got it and kept it stored and safe for me, and I'll let Bob take over the story from that point of view, because he tells this next part pretty good.
Really not a lot to tell other than, I drive the distance, like about 40 minutes. We get it loaded up, and it's a small average plane, so I have a Ford Explorer 2012. It's not a small SUV, and it stretches. The tail was basically touching my radio up front, and it just barely fit in at the hatch without touching. So, just small average plane. That was just a fuselage. But we get it loaded in carefully. I have everything padded. This thing isn't shifted. It's all good to go. I store it for a couple weeks at the shop that I work at. So I drive it to there. I unload it. I get it down some crazy steps into our basement so to keep it safe. A couple weeks later, we turn around. I bring it back up, get it loaded up. Everything is great. I drive a couple 100 miles. Actually just this past weekend. I drive a couple 100 miles, and I don't know, I think it's like 330, 350, something like that, to get out to you where you're at, Mike.
Okay.
We get it unloaded. Everybody's going, ooh, this plane is beautiful. This is great. Mike goes to load it into his vehicle and promptly smacks the rudder real hard, cracks the covering, cracks a little bit of the balsa. At that point, I informed him that, traveling insurance was over and done. It got there safe. So that's all on him. So yeah. I just thought it was kind of funny that it went through all that other stuff, and then just something nice and simple to get loaded up, it gets cracked again. So,
which I'm surprised Mike did that, because that's a dumb move I would do. Mike is normally pretty careful with his stuff. That would
well, it's been a while since
I'd be on.
That's typically a dumb move I think I would have did too, and that's why I was like so super careful, because I was worried I was going to do that. And I was going to have to deliver it and say, hey, there's a big finger hole through this side of the plane, or, one of the control surfaces, because I was an idiot, and my gorilla fingers, I grabbed it too hard or did something really stupid. So, but I was extra careful with it to not do that. So it all worked out, though. Everybody got what they wanted. It was a pretty good trade, though, because when I got there and gave you a plane, you had a plane for me.
Yes, I did.
And
I did.
It was.
I think a better plane, but
I agree.
That's subjective.
I would agree. This is a plane I've been looking for I don't know, probably at least 6 months, maybe more. They're available on eBay, but when you find them, if they're in decent shape, they're just too much money, and it's basically a block of foam. It's the old E-Flite Striker. Nothing special, a little flying wing. And I had one. I loved it. I flew the shit out of that plane, and could never find one in decent shape. Mike came across one that a guy was going to throw out, so we thought, all right. I even said, I'm going to bring my radio with, because backing up a little bit, my stop with Mike was just a stop. It wasn't really hanging out with them for the weekend, because I was on my way to someone else's house. So I was able to stop, hang out with them for a couple of hours until I went to my final destination. So I decided, though, I'm going to take my radio, take a battery. I had a receiver. I was going to slap in this plane. We're going to fly this thing and see how it goes. Because I think what, Mike, you said it had a 72 meg receiver in it when you got it?
Yeah, it had an antenna that came out of the fuselage, like the cockpit area.
Yeah.
Went down one of the wings, back down the other direction of the wing, and then had about 12 inches hanging out in open air. I was like, holy shit, look how long this antenna is.
So when I had my Striker, it was one of those, I just threw it in the back of the car. I gave two shits about it. I didn't worry about it. Aaron, you know this. And I just threw it around. Yeah. I didn't care. I threw the battery in. I took off. I would fly it hard, land it, crash once in a while, glue it up, tape it up, and go again. It was just such a freaking blast, because you didn't worry about anything. You just flew it and did whatever. So I haven't flown a plane in years, and all the talk of planes, talking to Mike, I ended up getting another plane as well, which I'll get into that later. But I take the Striker, I put the receiver in, I plug it in, we plug a battery in, I do just a simple bind. It's an Elevon plane, set it up, make sure the control surfaces are working, and in doing so, the throttle decides to start wanting to go on and off by itself. I'm not touching the radio, and the throttle goes on and goes off. and goes on and goes off. Can't figure out why, so we move the receiver. Still doing it. Mike's holding it in his hands. Control surfaces are working. The throttle just wants to do what it wants to do. So in the normal fashion that we do, we say, fuck it. Let's throw it in the air and see what happens. I had full control.
Oh, no. I didn't hear about this.
Yep. I had full
Aaron, it wasn't just turning on and off. The throttle was like full tilt for like a good 4 seconds, and then would go down to like not quite off, but still spinning a little bit, and then it would shut off. Then it would jump to like half throttle and shut off. Then it would jump to half throttle, and then to full throttle, and then back to half throttle, and then off.
Wow.
Oh,
Sounds
it
like
was-
you're running one of
it was
those
great.
Hobby King shit orange receivers.
So
That's
no, it was a
it
Spectrum
was pretty
receiver,
hilarious.
and I mean, it was the receiver from my Striker, which I think I probably crashed 10 years ago, and it's been sitting in a
probably
drawer
because
here.
of that.
So I'm sure the receiver's fine. Who knows? This plane here hadn't been flown in years either, so who knows what else is going on with it? But I wanted to fly it. I wasn't about to wait. I mean, it's a simple little plane, the hell with it. So everybody's laughing because I said, screw it, let's fly it. Mike throws it in the air, I'm juicing it up, it takes off. It flies like a Striker. It's real sensitive. Real quick, I got it figured out and I felt at home with it quicker than I thought I would. And I was kind of having fun. Roll rates were a little slow, but I realized real quick, at full throttle, every now once in a while, it just decided to go, we're going to go no throttle. Well, now we'll go back half throttle, and then we'll go to full throttle. Then we'll stay at full throttle, and we'll go back to half throttle. Maybe go up and down a little bit. So this thing's flying through the air with throttle bouncing all over the place.
You know how like when like the Horizon Hobby stuff, when the battery's dead, it does that.
Yep.
Yeah, pulses
That's
the throttle all weird.
That's what it sounded like the whole time, except like way up on the high end of the throttle. It was like,
Was LiPo cutoff engaged? Like, was it
No,
set for too
it
high of
was
a
just-
voltage?
just randomly.
It's either a
Jacking the
problem with the
throttle on and
ESC, there's something wrong with the motor, geeking ESC out, or there's something with the receiver. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to troubleshoot and figure that part out. But I only had a limited time. I wasn't going to troubleshoot. I wanted to fly the thing.
I'd leave it alone.
And
So
it's a striker.
We were
Doesn't really
flying,
matter.
and it wasn't flying bad. I thought it was kind of good. I handed the controller to Mike. He didn't like it. He thought it was too sensitive because I didn't do any expo. I didn't do anything. I just
Yeah,
Set it up.
I almost crashed it when you handed it to me. I was like, holy shit.
that was kind of funny, but it was a
I
good
love
time.
those strikers, super twitchy. Those are
And
one
that's
of
what
the
it is.
few I
That's
like turned up really
exactly
high.
it. You're gonna love flying this thing. I don't know if you ever flew my big one. We flew the little
I didn't
ones.
fly
but-
your big one, but I've flown the newer version of the bigger ones. I've
Okay.
flown the one that they added rudder on, I believe.
Yep,
I flew
yep.
one of those.
I was gonna say I don't know if you because I think I might have crashed that before you really got into doing any of the plane flying or anything. But then it came time. Yeah, let's try to land it. Well, come in for a landing, and those usually just dead stick in.
No, wait a minute. You didn't just come in for a landing. He goes, I'm going to land it.
I was coming towards us.
Yeah, he comes to land it straight at us.
Oh yeah,
Like,
the
come
strikers,
just
you gotta
flying in.
catch them.
Well, you
Yeah.
got to make it exciting, right? It's just a small foam plane. So we're coming in. I go dead stick. It's good. I'm about 2 feet from the ground, and the plane goes, ha ha, fuck you. I'm going full throttle. And it goes full throttle as I'm going to hit the ground. The prop flips it back over, tumbles end on end. The nose cone pops off, which I guess I could back up. The nose cone was hanging on by a thread to begin with. It was like really old packing tape holding it on.
Yeah,
It was
from
questionable
the
whether or not it was going to fly
1970s.
off in flight, but we just kind of went with it because we figured, again, screw it, we're going to fly it.
Yeah.
So the nose cone fell off, but other than that, plane's fine. So I'm either going to
Went
put
full
double-sided
throttle.
tape
I had to
magnets
dive
on
on
it or
the
something.
ground to get out of the way. There was 3 old guys standing behind me. They dove on the ground to get out of the way.
They did
Yeah,
not.
any of the safety we've talked about in other episodes, I guess throw that out the window, huh?
What safety are
No,
you talking
I made
about?
that last part up.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't running. They saw it coming, got out of the way before they knew what I was doing.
They were in the car when when he was trying to figure out if he was going to fly it or not. They went
But
and
it
sat in
was-
the car.
It was so much fun to fly that. I want to get that sorted out, and that's probably going to be one of the most fun things I'll have to fly until I ever do something stupid and turn that one into packing peanuts as well. Because unfortunately,
Those
that's
are awesome.
kind of what I
I
did with
miss-
mine.
I miss the little strikers too, because we used to beat on those and have a ton of fun with those.
Yours is still
I
here.
remember those all the time. We used to try and catch, like, we'd be flying at ourselves and just try and catch them in our hand and stuff like that.
We used to
I
play
have
some
Demolition
of
Derby.
ones.
Yeah, one of the larger strikers trying to catch might be a little more dangerous with a slightly bigger prop, but hey, you do you.
Yeah, it'll still be fun. No, we weren't trying to catch it. I was just trying to belly land it in.
Yeah, but at yourself?
Well, it wasn't really at ourselves. It was just sort of in that general direction of ourselves.
Now you're backpedaling.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if I would have really overshot it, I mean, I would have made sure I pushed it out of the way. I wouldn't have hit myself.
I would have caught it with my face.
Exactly. I would have had Mike there in the way. I'm not going to hit myself with it. Jeez. What do you think? I yelled back to somebody to dial 911 a while, so that way, didn't have to worry about the other one when something happened.
I'm glad you have one again, though, because that's one of the few planes that, I mean, for years and years and years and years, I hear you probably once every couple months. Man, I really want one of those old Strikers, but I want one of the original ones. So I'm glad you finally got one.
It's the exact same one I had. It's the same scheme, same everything. I am so stoked. And this thing looks like it's been, used and abused. It is in pretty rough shape, but it's still a Striker and it's still in good enough shape to fly and beat the shit out of it. I'm stoked over it. So I'm probably as stoked over this foam plane as you are on that real gigantic motherfucker I brought out to you.
Remember on this one, though, when you're flying inverted and if you're flying low, don't pull back. Push up to go up.
Yeah.
Don't wreck this one the same way.
Yeah, I may have been doing some inverted, really low passes at full speed and pushed the wrong way to go up. It happens. That was after it was crashed quite a few times and it was getting a little weaker. So it's split, it's split into a few unglueable parts. So I pulled the electronics out and just shoved the rest in a garbage can.
Our friend Dave Karrasch, right?
Yep.
He's a helicopter guy, for those who don't know. Never really flew a plane before in his life. Well, a couple years ago, I had the idea that we were going to buy these like $150 EDF jets and do a full contact combat battle with them. I was like, no, get the EDFs, they'll bounce off each other in the air. We'll get a couple extra, crashes out of them. And
yeah, that's not what they do.
So Dave buys one. We're out there just testing them out and stuff. Dave crashed that thing 4 times in the same flight. Like he flew. I always make fun of him because I say, yeah, remember the jet you flew 4 times and only charged the battery once? Because he never even made it through a whole battery before it was like totally destroyed and smoked.
That's funny.
But he can fly. He could fly the shit out of a helicopter. But it was just like the most basic airplane stuff he was struggling with because he kept shutting the throttle off when he would go inverted and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I know somebody else who did that.
Yeah, and those fly pretty much at one speed. Those little micro jets, they fly at like only full throttle. You back off the half, they drop out of the sky like a rock.
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was a pretty good time.
We used to try and do that with the little Strikers. We'd try and dogfight. My dad and I would take them up. And we're like, all right, we're going to wreck each other. And we could not hit each other. We'd spend the whole battery trying to hit each other. And then we'd go in for a landing and hit each other, just going out trying to land them or something stupid.
Yeah.
It's so hard when you're trying to dogfight and trying to hit someone to actually hit them.
And then you stop trying and you hit each other.
So that guy, I didn't tell you this part of it, Bob, but that guy that was getting rid of that Striker, he's an older guy. He's been in one of the clubs I belong to for a long time. Has some health issues and stuff and is getting rid of all his flying stuff. So me and my dad went over there and we're, just talking to him. And I seen the Striker there. I'm like, oh man, I gotta get that thing. And he had a box there with the mini Striker. And I'm like, oh, sweet. He's got both. He's got the small one and he's got the big one. So I said, what do you want for the Strikers? You looking to get any money out of them or anything? He said, well, the big one's kind of beat up. I was going to toss it. You could just take that if you want it. And I said, I'll give you $20 for the small one. He goes, all right, deal. That's a deal. I never even opened the box to look at it or nothing. I just grabbed the box, grabbed the Strikers. We were hanging around bullshitting for a while. We loaded it in the car and we went home. I got home and I opened the box of that mini Striker, and the nose has been hot glued about 13 times. It's almost 90 degrees, like crooked. It's so bad.
Yep. That's where the mini Strikers, I have 2 of them here. Mine doesn't work anymore. Aaron still flies. Those are the ones we used to try to hit each other with.
Yeah.
We have hot glue. We have... Oh, there's just a multitude of things, holding these things back together anymore. But they were still flying fine.
Yeah, but we used to take the packing foam that the box came with, and if we'd wreck them bad enough, we'd cut out the foam and use that as like a body filler.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I mean, if you looked at like mine or his, they were so non-aerodynamic because all the chunks and all the, the front nose being curved, and you'd look and you're like, this is not going to fly. But they flew amazing.
That's where I'm at with this one. I'm like, I should probably just toss it because there's no way it would fly right.
Yeah, if you're worried
crooked as the nose is,
the way it folds up, just cut it, re-glue it so it's kind of straight. It doesn't have to be perfect. You'll have fun with that thing. If everything functions, the servos and motor function, just work it a little bit, make it so it looks somewhat okay, and then throw it in the air and fly it. That's the beauty of the Striker. Right. They're great.
Awesome.
You got to love those things. But what's kind of funny with that whole thing is, so that's the plane. that I love the most. The other plane I got is it's a brand new airframe, Matt Chapman 580. The thing is sweet. It's 53-inch wingspan. It's an ARF, already covered. So I get to outfit it with whatever equipment I want, however I want. And I'm more excited about a foam striker that's beat the shit. So this other plane is one of my many winter projects going with some cars I have going right now as well. So I got a lot to keep me busy for the next foreseeable few weeks in building.
Yeah,
Yes.
it'll be. Did you decide if you're going to do that the Matt Chapman plane electric, or are you going to?
Oh, it's going to be electric, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would it be anything else? I'm not going to do nitro on that.
Well, I was trying to talk you into putting like a gas motor or something on a little 15 cc.
No.
Yeah, you were trying to talk me into it. Didn't work though.
I know it didn't seem like it was working. That's why I was
No.
curious.
It's not going to work. I'm staying electric. It's easy that way.
That's great.
Yeah, and you already got all the batteries. You have everything you need for it.
Exactly. That's why I'm not worried about it. I'm going to try to figure out a way to probably put that on 6S and be good to go. I'll be happy with that.
That'll be fun on 6S. That's all you need with something like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a good time. It'll be time to party. It'll be something I can take out and try to hover and do whatever I'm going to do with it until I crash that. 'Cause I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah.
yeah,
well.
eventually.
So any projects for you, Aaron?
Couple projects, yeah. I mean, I just recently got done building a new drift chassis, RC drift chassis. Just about 2 weeks ago, we went to our local drift track, which is RC Car World.
Yep.
I believe.
Oh, that's where I
yeah,
ordered my drift car from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great track. The shop is, it has a shop.
Yep.
That's all I'll say about
That's
that. Good luck getting any help if you have to go into there for any sort of parts. But awesome track. So we've been trying to go there more often. So I just recently built a new drift chassis. I'm going to try and build a little more gripped up. It's a little bit larger track, so I want to build it almost specifically for that track. I'm about 90% of the way the kit's done. I'm just getting it all fitted with electronics and trying to finish that up. It's kind of going into the time of year where really all we do is RC drift. Not a whole lot of flying going on with it being cold and kind of miserable out. So really kind of shifting more into drift mode right now. Aside from that, really just real car projects, trying to diagnose electrical issues on. I have a BMW E46. It's like a beater winter drift car, and been trying to diagnose the fun BMW electrical issues with that. So just kind of been working on that, getting that fixed up, kind of here and there, and that's really where any free time is gone.
Electrical gremlins are always fun to try to track down.
Yeah, at least this one's nice. It was just I've been doing the ghetto. Basically, all my lights in the car essentially weren't working. Dash lights, tail lights, headlights, the license plate frame. So we roughly got it to work, so I can still drive it if I want. And then I've been doing the ghetto thing of, if I got to drive to work, I've been taping a flashlight to my license plate, and that way I don't get pulled over.
Nice.
So right now, I just parked that, and I've been dailying really dailying the drift car, which is not incredibly fun. No heat, not very comfortable to daily this time of year. So really just been working on some of the real car projects as well.
Yep, got enough to keep you busy and suck up all your money, huh?
Yeah, it's can't wait to get the more respectful looking BMW going, because it is not fun pulling up to your pretty decent job in a very ghetto looking drift car. It's unfortunately I'm known around the campus with that, so I got to get the BMW fixed.
Nice. Yeah, it's funny how you said we go to our local drift track. Yeah, our local drift track's only like an hour and a half to 2 hours away.
Which really isn't too bad, because I know people that they have to travel significantly further, for any sort of decent track. And this track, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir. It's at least a well worth it track.
Oh, it's
to
a
drive
beautiful
to.
track. And
It's amazing. I mean, they run the Scale Drift series. I'm not gonna do the whole series, but I do want to compete this year a little bit. So I do want to go up over the winter, at least run one or two of it's called the Scale Drift series, and they get drivers from everywhere coming in for this, and they run a really really good drift series.
I'd like to give that a try
I want to
too.
get a
I
little
think
more practice in and just start competing more.
I think I'm just about getting to a point where I could be ready to try something like that. That'd
You
be
are,
fun.
yeah. I mean, you're one of the few we can consistently tandem, bang doors. I can be on you, for laps and laps on end, and you're getting good at chasing now too.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm heading this upcoming week. We're trekking another place in Delaware, and we're going to go there. First State Hobbies, I think the place is called. They have a drift track, so we're going to go check that one out. And next episode, I can give you feedback on that and give you an update for anyone who is interested in that.
Yeah, rub it in. I won't be able to go.
Drift
Rub it
stuff
in.
coming. Yeah, like you said, that time of year for us. Not getting into flying. I'm going to make some time to go fly this Striker again. No, I want to get that fixed.
Are you dragging Larry with you?
Yeah, me and Larry are going.
Yeah, nice.
It'll be a fun time.
You're working on a project for him too, aren't you?
Yep. New drift car, Yokomo Yokomo RD 2.0. So that's a whole.
You're so used to working with our YDs.
Yeah, I know. Whole new chassis. I'm in the middle of building up, getting all the electronics, getting everything done, full kit, getting built up for him, and we're going to have that ready to go. I should have it ready to go we're going to head to this other place on Tuesday. So it should be good to go for then. So
That's going to be quite an upgrade from him.
Yeah.
Have you guys got any of those Fortec drift cars into your shop yet, Bob?
Yeah, we've sold a bunch of them.
Really?
Yeah, I got a chance to play with one a little bit, and I'll be honest, the whole time I'm thinking, oh, this isn't going to be anything that good. How are they going to do this? Because they're not using a real gyro. They're using basically their receiver, the same thing they try for the TSM, which is a Traxxas Stability Management. They're doing a modified version of that. It's just not going to work. Well, we got one out as a demo and started playing around with it. It actually worked way better than what I thought. And then when you Bluetooth your phone to the controller, where you can get in and adjust certain parameters like, endpoints, expo, different things along those lines, you can actually set up the gyro in 3 different modes, and one being what they call classic gyro. And it all reacts and sets up as if you had a regular gyro. So the car performed in stock form way, way better than what I thought it was going to. And I think it's a really good platform for people who want to get into drifting, but don't want to get a full drift car. And maybe they're just going to do it once in a while. And I think it's a wonderful car to start off with.
Yeah, I agree, because the biggest thing I see go wrong in drifting is guys want to get into it, so they buy what their buddy has, or they buy what some of the higher end car, the guys are running higher end wise. They get the good gyro, they get everything, and then they struggle with setup. And a lot of guys almost get, like I've seen it, they almost get discouraged because they don't know how to set up a car. They don't know how to set the gyro. They don't know how to set anything. And it can turn them off, or, potentially just kind of set you back. So the Traxxas, and honestly even the Red Cat, are really nice because out of the box, they're just set. You can drive them. You don't have to worry about gyro setup. You don't have to worry about, especially as a newer driver, you don't know what adjustments to make. So that kind of gets your feet wet in the drift world. I think it's a good stepping stone. I don't know if it's something like I'd recommend competing with, but they seem like really good kind of get your feet wet in the hobby sort of drift cars.
Yeah, you would never compete with something like that. It definitely would be just to mess around with. But it's funny because a drift car is very comparable to a heli, really. You can have the best of equipment, best chassis, best electronics, but if you don't have the setup right, it's going to drive like dog shit. And it's just like a heli. You can have a great heli, you can have the best of electronics, everything, but if you don't have a flybarless setup, you don't have your pitch set up, if you don't have something set up right, it's not going to fly right. And it's very comparable. So when you're getting into good hobby grade stuff, knowing your equipment, knowing how to set up is, over half the battle, really. Because you can take a lesser expensive car, and even same can be said with the helis, a lesser quality of something, but with a good setup, you can make them fly or drive, work really, really good.
Yeah, it's literally all in the setup and seat time, getting experience with that car, because I've already been at Jersey where some of the guys that compete at a high level have these, $2,500, $3,000 equipped like Shark cars. They have all these, really high-end kits, and I've already been just as competitive, if not more competitive, with my sub, probably with electronics, everything, maybe sub $1,000, $1,200 Yokomo.
Yeah, right.
So setup and seat time and just practice will make or break you for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's kind of how what you just explained is pretty much how my journey of drifting has been. But I don't there is nobody that I know of around me that does it, and I don't think there's any tracks within 2-3 hours of me to even go and try to learn or check out some people's setups or get some tips or pointers or whatever, So mine's just trying to drift it with a gyro with what do I have? The YD2?
Yeah, yep.
So whatever gyro came with that kit, stock settings, never been adjusted. I have no clue how to tune that thing at all.
Was yours a kit or ready to run?
Mine was a kit.
It was a kit. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably the Yokomo, the 302 gyro or something on that then.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's a Yokomo gyro.
Yeah. Yeah, which are good gyros. That's what I have on mine. Works great.
Yeah,
That's why
I run that too.
we got to get you to make
yeah,
a PA trip. Come out here, hang out with me and Aaron. We'll We'll drive then to this other drift track. We'll do it on a day, and we can do some tuning for you, get it working. Even if we don't make that trip, we can use the basement track here. We can get. I was going to say,
I think a better thought would be, instead of making the drive all the way out after Mike comes, you have a pretty fucking sweet track in your basement. Like,
yeah, it's pretty
nicer
good.
than any basement track I've seen. Then you can have some beers while we drift too, and make it a fun hangout.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah,
we just got to get Mike to do it.
It ain't drifting without beers.
Drinking beers and burning the rears.
That's good. I like that. We need that on a shirt.
There you go. Aaron's new drift merch or Mike's new drift merch coming soon.
I like that.
Drinking beers, burning rears. Man. So anyway, so all this being said, so Mike, you have some new projects. Aaron, you have some new stuff. So when you have something that's a blank slate, whether it be a chassis, a plane, a heli, what's your thought process to figure out what equipment you want to use? Like, do you go off of just previous experience and go, oh, I've used this stuff before. This is the perfect scenario or the magic recipe, if you will. So I'm just going to keep using it as a cookie cutter. Or do you go, I want to try something new with something different, or because I want to try this new thing that's on the market?
The way I go about it is I always think first, what am I going to use it for? Like what is the purpose of it? So when I'm building a new, especially car kit, am I building it for a large track? Am I building it for, smaller track? And that kind of is going to help me determine what I'm going with electronic wise, how much really I want to sink into it. Because you don't have to go super deep down the rabbit hole if you're drifting in a garage or a basement. And same thing with helis. What am I using it for? Is this going to be something that I'm learning and, maybe want crashes to be cheaper? Maybe go with good servos, but not the top of the top. Or is this something I want to go out and lay it down and be my main machine? At that point, put some really good high-end stuff in it. So I think it's really dependent upon the purpose you're using it for.
Yeah, that's fair.
The purpose is going to determine how far down you go. If you already have a bunch of nice machines and you have a bunch of 600s and 700s that are, wild and outrageous, for example, I've had some pretty rowdy 600s and 700s. In my case, then if I'd be building like a 580, maybe build something a little smoother, have something for kind of the best of both worlds, go diverse, if you will. And I think, that's a good determining factor of what you're going to use it for. So always first and foremost, just look at the purpose you're going to use said product for.
Yeah.
And then that'll kind of put you in the right path.
What do you think of that, Mike?
I don't think I put quite as much thought into it like that. I'm very, very impulsive.
No.
Like if I see something that I like, I typically buy it if I can afford it. And I try to keep. So typically what I like to do is if I buy something new, I usually try to get rid of something else because I don't want to end up with a basement full of stuff and be one of those guys that, when he finally leaves the hobby, he's got to give everything that he bought away because it's old and outdated and, is no longer even relevant in the hobby at all. So typically I try to get rid of something that I'm not using very often if I pick up something new. One to, like I said, just try to keep from cluttering up my hobby room and stuff. And two, to help kind of offset some of the cost of buying the new thing, which isn't very wise because every time I buy something and I sell it, I usually lose money on it.
Not to mention you usually buy something and 2 weeks later decide to sell it.
Yeah.
It's short-lived.
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes it is pretty short-lived. But typically, so if I'm impulsive, if I see something I like, I usually buy it. I don't put too much thought into it of, past, ooh, that's shiny and new, and I think I might want to try it. Now, if it's like a kit or something, the kit will be the impulsive part, but the equipment going into it typically for me stays the same. I have my brands that I like. Unless I can find something that'll, maybe save me some money and is going to give me the same result at the end, I'll try something different. But typically I try to look for the same stuff equipment wise, like the same ESC brand. I'm a big Hobbywing person, motors servos, all that stuff. Just try to stick with, either what I have that I can use, or if I need to purchase it new, I try to stick to the same brands, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. I mean, I think sounds very reasonable. Go with what you're somewhat comfortable with.
That's why most of the time when I do something, majority of my stuff have Castle ESCs. I know some guys are going to cringe at that because, I know all the stories of Castle cremations. Ha ha ha. But I've always had good luck with Castle. They've always outperformed what I've asked of them, what I've had done. When I was building my first drift car, basically everybody was telling me to go Hobbywing or go some of these other brands that are drift specific. Castle doesn't work real well for drifting, and that to me sounded more of a challenge where, okay, I want to try to make it work. And I think I did. I have a Castle system in my drift car that works every bit as good as everything else I've seen, and it functions flawlessly for me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a go-to. However, that being said, I do want to try something new. So this one plane that I'm building, the Matt Chapman plane, I kind of want to try the Spectrum Avian stuff. So I might try one of their Avian motor ESCs in there and see how that performs. And then as far as servos, I always go KST, just, because they work really well and, for other reasons as well.
They're good stuff.
Right,
They're
Mike?
good stuff. Shout out Devin.
What'd you say?
Yeah,
Shout out Devin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We'll get him on here one of these days. We'll have Devin on here soon.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to talk to him, get him on here soon. We'll work that one into it. But yeah, I mean, as far as equipment, that's kind of like my thing. I usually use, some of the same servos because I know they work. Castle, and then whatever other, depending on the project. My heli stuff, I'm always pretty much, for me, my go-to is I go Icon, for flybarless. There's all this stuff out there for, I'm seeing all the new Radio Master, all of this, all of that. But kind of going what I also said earlier in the episode of the setup is so important. I am very, very comfortable with Icon. I know how to set them up. I know how to make them work. And I know how to get them to do everything I want. Works good for my flying. I think I can get them to work good for Aaron, beating on this stuff too. So, it's kind of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So for me, that works really well.
I really like the Icon. The only thing that turned me off from using them on everything was flying them on nitros. I was having the issues of the pins being soldered to the boards. They would end up cracking over time.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I never tried the HD version, which I don't think changes anything on the board. I think it just gives you the ability to plug the battery right into the unit rather than through like a servo plug. I think there's like a Dean's connector or something like that built into it.
I think so, yeah. I've never used one either. I just use always the standard non-Bluetooth, just basic one.
Yeah, but yeah, the Icon flies really well.
You know how you fix that other problem with the nitro stuff, right?
Yeah.
Fly electric.
You carry spare Icons.
No, you just don't fly nitro. Then you don't have to worry about it. I mean, think all the money you save then on, stupid expensive nitro fuel.
That's blasphemy.
It's not blasphemy.
Yep. So, impulsive story time.
What'd you just buy while we were
talking and bringing up all the fiberless units and stuff? It reminded me that of another impulsive thing that I've done.
Okay.
Last couple weeks. So, I don't know if you remember me talking about the whole rotor flight thing. I bought the FR Sky radio. I bought, 4 or 5 Nexus fiberless units. I was all in. I was going to switch everything over to the rotor flight stuff. Tried to learn the setup. Got super frustrated with how involved it was. Sold the Nexus stuff, sold the radio, got rid of all of it, went back to the V-bar control and putting V-bars and everything. So since then, that was that before IRCHA? Yes, that was, I think, right before IRCHA. And just 2 weeks ago, I think, I purchased I purchased the next version up of the radio that I bought to do all that with. After I sold it, lost some money on it, bought another one, but I bought the one that has all the CNC machine gimbals in it this time. And I'm using it on the airplane that you delivered to me, Bob.
Okay.
And I'm going to set up some of my other airplane stuff on that radio too. Eventually, with the goal of maybe trying the rotor flight thing again later down the road, once they get some tweaks and stuff done to it, I can kind of, have the radio ready and try it out. But
nice.
Yeah, so I bought the same radio twice this year.
Nice. Yeah.
3 months.
Well, you're trying to buy the same with the helicopter too.
What's that?
You bought a Steam AK700, sold it, and now you're looking to maybe get another one of those too.
Yep. Yeah. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, you have problems.
Yeah.
So what I hear is, to the viewers, if you're looking for a good deal, hit Mike up. You might be able to impulse buy something that he wants to sell.
Or
just flash something shiny in front of me, and I'll probably sell you something to get it.
Yep. And then wait a couple weeks and look on the forums on Marketplace, and you'll find it there for sale if you want to get a good deal.
Yep. Never know.
It happens. That's for sure.
Never know. Yeah, we were at our club meeting the other night, and all those guys were cracking on me, saying that I'll sell that airplane before I ever get ready to fly, anyway. So they don't know why I'm so excited.
Nice.
I was like, touche. That's fair. That's fair, because that's possible that might happen.
That is a really cool plane, and I've always a little part of me has always wanted something big. Like I really like those big gasser, big nitro. My problem is I still don't have anywhere to store them, nor the car to put them around. So I wouldn't blame you if you end up selling it pretty quick, just because of the inconvenience of transport.
Yeah, no, the only way that I would sell that thing before I got some flight time and stuff on it would be if somebody offered me something that I can make some money on it, and then I would probably look for another one, because I've had a couple of that size, and I regretted getting rid of every one of them. So I'm trying very hard to hang on to this one. It was a good deal. The airframe's a little bit beat up, but the equipment that was in it was, pretty decent equipment, and was worth every bit of what I paid for the plane. So my ultimate goal is to kind of get my feet wet again, get the airplane rust knocked off me, I guess, with this thing, and then possibly buy a brand new airframe to put all the guts into, and have something that's like nice, and just take it out. Because we do, like, for our club, we do a lot of things like, we'll go to car shows and set up static displays and do things, and that would be cool as hell to have for stuff like that, just to have this big giant airplane just to set up for that, let alone go and fly it for the fun flies and stuff. When we get the public out there, they like seeing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because when people think of RC planes or RC in general, they think of the little dinky, your stereotypical E-flite foamy.
Right, and then you take this big 100cc, 100-inch wingspan thing, and you're hovering it 3 feet in front of your face, you know what I mean, with smoke pouring out of it. It's one of the coolest things you could see in the RC world, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
They're definitely impressive. So if you get equipment done, are you planning on trying to have this thing flying anytime, or how soon are you going to have it ready to go, you think?
I could fly it this weekend if I really want to. It's set up, it's ready. I've gone through all like the major stuff that I wanted to make sure I checked over.
Okay.
Right now I'm just doing little petty stuff. Like, there was no wheel pants on it. I bought a set of wheel pants. The only color they had was yellow, so I'm sanding them down. I'm painting them blue to match the paint scheme.
Okay.
Trying to fix up some cracking and stuff that was in the cowling.
Reason I ask is because I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, it's just trying to clean some stuff up on it. That's all. But it could fly right now if I wanted to.
I was thinking it was going to take you longer, because that's the reason I was asking. Is kind of brings me to another question. Is we're in the Northeast in Pennsylvania here. You're a little further west. I don't, but you still get some, pretty freaking cold for winters and stuff. We're not lucky enough to live in warmer climates.
Mm-hmm.
But with what is too cold for you? At what point do you go, you know what? I'm not flying planes, helis. I'm just not doing any of it.
For airplanes, too cold for me is when my hands get cold. Like when the prop's blowing on your hand, when you're holding the plane back or whatever, running the motor up and down. If my hands get numb, it's way too cold to be flying an airplane.
Right.
For helicopters, I fly helicopters at our club. There's a big group of us that fly all winter long. Just because they're easier to kind of jump in and out of. Like, we have a barn that we heat in the wintertime, so we can all hang out in the barn and jump out, do a quick flight, and then jump back in and warm back up.
So because your flights are quicker for the helis than they are for the planes.
Right, yeah. There's not as much setup. You don't have to put the thing together and, spend a whole bunch of time. You unfold the blades, you throw it in the air, you fly it, you land it, you fold the blades.
Oh, yeah, I didn't really think about that. Yeah, because for this big one, you're going to have to be standing there, putting the wings on, getting everything going. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I was just kind of curious, if it gets to be too cold, you're like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, no, and like there's some guys at our club that say once the temperature, how do they say it? Once the temperature is lower than their age, that's when they stop coming up.
Yeah. As much
that
as
way, the older they get, then the warmer it is that they don't come out.
You know what? I was just going to say it because once upon a time, the winter, cold months, nothing bothered me. But I will say the last couple of years, when we get the winter time, my hands get a lot colder quicker. I've tried one of those like gloves, you can put your hand in and try to keep warm, but I feel very uncomfortable that way. And it almost feels like a distraction, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So if I'm out and my hands are cold, I can't wear gloves. I got to be able to feel the sticks. I want to feel the radio. So yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I'd probably say once I get below like 40, I'm probably still good to there or mid 40s, but below that, I think I'm just about done where I'm not flying. Or if I need to just go test something, I can go out and do like a flight for testing. But to go spend any kind of time at the field and hang out and fly, yeah, I'm getting to the time of the year where we get busy anyway through work, but my flying's almost about done for the year for sure.
Yeah, if we had like an area, like kind of like Mike said, where they have a heated barn, you can kind of make it more of a hangout. I think I could fly in any weather because then you have that warm barn right behind you to head back to.
Right.
My thing is when I go out to the field, I mean, we've always done it. When we go out, we hang out. We'll go out, spend several hours out there, just kind of, bullshit, hang out. Oh,
Yep.
gonna go fly. I don't like going to the field and flight after flight after flight. When I was younger, I used to do that. So if we're going to our field, which
has nothing,
there's no barn, there's nowhere to get away from the elements. Honestly, anything under like 50 degrees, I'm not flying just because I'm uncomfortable to hang out, uncomfortable, just a little. I get really cold really easily.
Yeah.
But if we had like a heated area, I could go do my 3-minute flight and then come back and hang out in the barn or hang out, in some nice heat. So I think that's a big determining factor is, just knowing you have some warmth to go back to. Because at our field, I mean, we don't even have a porta potty.
Yeah.
Yep. We got cornfields.
We're pretty spoiled.
You should be. Your field's awesome.
We actually have 2 porta potties.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
But no, we had Todd Dudek. Shout out to Todd Dudek. He donated we call it the hot box, from one of his other clubs that they were going to get rid of. It's basically a big wooden crate that's like, I don't know, 4.5 feet tall by 4.5 feet wide, just a big cube with a door on the back. You open the door and we put a propane heater in there. So you open the door, you stand in the box, you close the door behind you, and you have this heater that blows on your transmitter and on your hands while you're flying. And then when you're done, you walk out, you grab your heli, and you walk back into the heated barn. So it's like the only time your hands are really cold is when you're picking the helicopter up and carrying it to and from the flight line,
That's a really nice. That's a nice setup. The first time I ever actually flew or saw with that experience was actually RCHO back in like 2020, right before the pandemic kind of hit. I think it was, I want to say maybe February, was their spring event, whatever they call it. I forget the name of it, but in 2020, and that's the first time when I was at their field, and then they had one of those as well because it was kind of chilly then, and it was nice. It kept you pretty warm while you're standing there flying.
Yeah, it works pretty good.
It's a good setup.
Yeah, I've never used one of those, nor like the I've seen them and I've wanted them. Those little like boxes you put your transmitter in that you can slide your hands into to keep them warm.
Yeah.
I've seen those going back quite a while, and
I have one of those. I don't like it because it makes my hands sweat. So
really?
Then there's like condensation on your transmitter. All your switches feel slippery, and I don't know. I didn't like it.
They're good in thought, but I don't even know if I'd be able to use one because of how I hold my transmitter. Like when I fly, I hold my transmitter down really goofy.
Oh yeah.
So I don't even know if that.
You don't always start that way though. You start with it up, and as you fly, it just kind of transitions down.
Yeah, it's one of those unintentional sort of things, and by the end of the flight, my antenna's pointed like at the ground.
Yeah. So you're saying he flies his transmitter lower every time he goes to,
or just tilts it down? Yeah.
The harder he's flying, the lower the radio goes.
The harder he's flying, the harder it gets tilted down to the ground. It's really weird when you watch him when he's flying at the end of a flight or when he's flying hard. His hands look like they're in a really awkward position, and sometime I'll try to get a video when he does it. It'd be kind of funny to see. It just looks very uncomfortable, but that's what he does, so it's kind of amusing.
That's how legends do it, Bob.
That's how legends do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't think you can call me that.
The lower the heli goes, the lower the transmitter goes.
Oh.
The only thing that make it any better than that is if you're chewing on your tongue while you're doing it.
I do that.
No, you bite your lip. You pull your bottom lip in and bite it when you're really.
Is that
focused.
What I do? Okay, I knew there was something I did because you laugh at me every time when I do something.
I can always tell when you're a little nervous in flight and you're trying a new maneuver or trying something because you do the lip bite. It's funny.
Okay, I forgot. Yeah, I guess it is that, not the tongue thing. I forgot what I was doing. It's kind of funny though. It's all good. Well, I think this is going to be our last episode, probably till Thanksgiving at least. We'll probably shortly after that, and then we'll have to do.
We'll have to do one shortly after Thanksgiving to see what everybody bought for Black Friday. I think.
Yeah, we'll have to do that, and then but that'll probably be like a after Black Friday. That'll be like a Christmas episode. We'll have to do something kind of special for that one. I got a couple things in mind. I'm trying to get a certain person on, which I think would be really, really awesome to do. Because he's a hell of a guy, like very, very entertaining, and I think it would be very fun to have him on. So I'm working on that, and I think it'd be a really good one for that episode. But we're working on it.
Is it who I'm thinking? Who
Yeah,
we've been trying to get on?
Yeah, he's
Yep.
a bigger person in the real drift world, but he also does a lot of RC stuff as well. So, and he's got an incredible personality, and he would be a blast on the show. So I'm working
And I'll
on
just
that. But
say
he's
it now, if you're
extremely
even
busy.
remotely interested in the real drift world and you have any form of interest in learning anything about it and seeing some real like OG dudes in it, check out Pilot Podcast. Fucking amazing. The best drift podcast out there.
And you just gave it away.
Great guess. I didn't say the name.
Anybody,
but,
but if anybody knows that, they're going to know who it is. But
definitely go
lucky
check
enough
out the
that
podcast.
he's a friend of mine. So
awesome dude, great driver, builds some of the fucking coolest cars in the States. Really, really awesome.
Yeah, so we're working on that one, so that's going to be fun. So I hope everybody
Think
has
we can get Andrew to make us a heavy metal jingle bells.
heavy
intro
metal
for
jingle
the-
bells. I think those probably
for the
already
Christmas
exist.
show. Yeah, but we need one with the full package twist.
The full package Twisted Tea.
Ooh,
Uh-oh.
now you're speaking my language.
There
Oh,
we
I
go.
thought that sparked some idea. Wasn't sure
It'll
what we were
be-
going there.
That'll be our Christmas episode. We all kill a full case of Twisted Tea and then hop on the podcast.
Oh, hell
we
no.
try to play jingle bells on the guitar.
I ain't even drinking one can of Twisted Tea. That shit's nasty.
No.
You're the
Oh,
Twisted
don't
Tea
be
guru,
Don't
not
be
me.
so bougie.
Yeah, no thank you. We'll figure something out. I got a couple things. If that doesn't work out, I got one or two other options we're working on, but we want to do a good Christmas episode. So stay tuned for that one. Hopefully early part of December. I'm coming to a really busy time of my year. So honestly, I'll probably only be able to get one more podcast out for the year, probably early December. So hope everybody has a really good Thanksgiving. I don't know. You guys, you have anything else you just want to go over? We've been all over the place in this episode, but it's been kind of fun.
Yeah, we kind of settled in that we thought he had an idea on a topic, and we just kind of riffed it. I think it was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
went good. If you guys ever have
Um,
any other ideas, topics, ideas, comments, complaints, you can shoot me an email at fullpackagerc@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of us for anything. If you're interested in being a guest, anything like that, let us
Yep.
know.
Don't forget, we got some merch. If you guys want a shirt, hat, something like that,
Yes, and
give
that
it to
one
your
is
friends to burn on Christmas or whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, here, keep talking for a second, Mike, because I gotta grab the actual website piece here
Oh yeah.
to get the
So
right.
yeah, if you need a shirt to burn to get your Christmas fire started, there's a great place to get some shirts, hats. Hats make good fire starting material.
And I
Don't
can't
burn
find-
our merch. Don't burn.
Yeah, don't burn
it.
our-
Send us a video. Make it funny.
Yeah, burn it and then tape it to your helicopter and fly it around.
I'll insert the link in the comment because I can't, for some reason, I can't get it to come up here.
And while we're at it, while we're plugging stuff, if you guys want to see some of the stuff we talk about, different flight videos from different fun flies, some of the IRL, like, RC drifting, check out my dad's channel. It's just Bob Heaster. Look him up. There's some really good drift content he's done recently from, the track we've gone to, and just overall good heli content from a couple of the recent events we've hit. So if you're curious to see any of that real stuff, check out his YouTube channel.
Yep, that's
If
just
you are listening to this on Podbeam.
youtube.com/RC Speed Racer.
Yeah, good content on there.
Yeah, thank you. We're trying. Got some other stuff coming. Working on next year will be a better, bigger year. So I've made some changes with what I'm getting. So it's gonna be a good year. I think we're gonna reset,
Yep.
start over, and get some good. Try to get to a few more events, get some other stuff done, concentrate on that a little bit harder, and hopefully we can get settle into a schedule here for the podcast as well, and be a little more consistent with it. But we'll see. Again, we're all busy. Doesn't always work like we want it to, so we just do it when we can.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's going to be it for this episode. We appreciate you hanging out with us, listening. Look forward to hearing from you with anything you have. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you for listening, and you all have a great night, and get out there, keep flying, driving, doing whatever RC you got.
Yeah,
Hey, guys.
have a good holiday too. If we're not back by then.
Absolutely. Happy Gobbler Day. Peace.
Happy Black Friday shopping. Keep your pants on.